morning students and welcome to our YouTube channel Gnan Manjari Modern School. So in the previous video we are just going through the new chapter, that was chapter number 2, adaptations in animals and plants. Okay, so in very first video we have seen about the adaptations, what are the adaptations, and then after we just move further and we have seen some of the animals. In that we have seen the different types of animals adaptations, and then after we have seen the aquatic animals, in that fish and that all the things. Okay, and now here we have reached in the last video we have seen about the desert animals, and now we will see about the desert plants. Okay, so before that let us revise the desert animals. Here deserts have extreme temperature, that we have known that the deserts are very high at daytime and very low temperature at night time. Okay, so what happens? There is very variation in the temperature, so the adaptations must be of the animals of doing that. So they can get very hot during the day and very cold at night. They are also very arid and dry. Thus, animals that live in deserts have to adapt the desert climate. Okay, and animals that live in the desert gets all the water that needed by eating the desert plants that are capable of storing water. Animals in the Atacama Desert, where it is hardly ever rains, lick the dew of the plants early in the morning. Elephants in the Kalahari Desert near the skeleton coastal of Africa have also adapted themselves to live on drops of water on leaves. This is the water condensed from the mist and fog that blows over the coast. Then lizard, scorpions, kangaroo rats, insects and snakes of the desert burrow into the sand where it is very shady and cool. They come out to feed at night when it is cooler and safer. Camel, the most common animal we associate with the desert, is especially adapted to desert conditions. It has special stomach-like pouch where it can store up to 70 liters of water. It harms source fat which get converted to energy when the camel cannot find food. Okay, so these are some of the adaptations of the desert animals. Now we will just move towards the desert plants. Okay, so desert plants. Desert plant. Okay, desert plants. So here the deserts are known as their aridity or dryness, and desert plants have learned to survive through long periods of dryness. Plants that grow in deserts are called xerophytes. Okay, xero means dry and phyte means plant. So here the plants which grow in the desert, they are known, it can be asked, that is plants that grow in desert are called xerophytes. Okay, they are called the xerophytes. They are drought resistant, means this type of plants are drought resistant. Why? Because there is very minimum amount of the rain in the deserts, and they do not need that much water. They have adapted themselves that they do not need more water. Okay, students, they can just live without water for few days, few weeks, few months. Okay, and their roots are very deep. So what happens? They just can take water deep inside from soil. Okay, now moving towards next point. First, that is cactus and prickly pears are two typical desert plants. They have very long roots that go deep inside in search of water. As I have said now, that the roots are very deep. They go deep down in the soil to find the water. So here, the next point we can write over here. The first point, that is, they have very long roots that go deep into the soil in search of water, okay. This is the first adaptation of the desert plant, that they have very long roots that go deep into the soil in search of water, okay. And again I am telling, the plants which grow in the deserts are called xerophytes, okay. This can be asked, so you have to remember this. Now moving towards the second adaptation, that is, they have a thick and fleshy stem. They stored water in the stem. Here, the next point, or the second point, that is, they have thick and fleshy stems. They store water in the stem Means, now what they just do? They find out the water by the deep inside the roots or by the rains. So how they store the water? So here in the second point, the second adaptation, that is, they have thick and fleshy stems. They have thick and fleshy stems. They store water in the stem. So they store the desert plants store the water inside the stem. Okay, students, so this is the second adaptation. Third one, that is, instead of leaves with large surface area from which they can lose moisture, desert plants have thorns. This reduces losses of water. So they don't have leaves. Here, desert plants don't have leaves. Third, they don't have leaves. They have thorns. Which reduce loss of reduce loss of water. Here, in the plants, we can say that they lost water from the leaves. So what happens? The desert plants have adapted themselves. They just don't have leaves, but they have thorns, by which there is reduced loss of water. Okay, this reduce the loss of water. Now moving towards next, that is fourth point. Thorns are also protective as they discourage animals from eating up the plants. It ensures that the species continues. Here, talking about the thorns, what happens? They have the needle-like structure in the thorns. So what happens? The animals do not eat that. Okay. So here, fourth point we can write. Thorns are also protective as they discourage animals from eating here. Thorns, what just they do? They just also reduce the loss of water and also discourage the animals from eating that plant. Okay, so the uses of thorns are what? Two uses. They reduce the loss of water and they discourage animals from eating the desert plants. Okay, moving forward to the point number 5, that is, as plants have no leaves, the stems of these plants prepare food for the plant. Here, what happens? The plants prepare food by their own. By what? By the photosynthesis process. In that, what happens? In the underside of the leaves, these stomata are present. Okay, so what happens? Here, the leaves are not there. So how they can prepare food? So here it is, fifth point, that is, as the plants have no leaves, the stem of these plants prepare food for the plant. Okay, here the plants do not have the leaves. So what happens? The stem produce the food for the plant. Okay, students. So these are the 5 adaptations of it. Let us see again. So the first of all, it was plants that grow in deserts are called the xeropathes. Okay, so the plants which grow in desert are known as the xeropathes. It can be asked in fill in the blanks MCQ or any true or false or other. Okay, then the first adaptation, that was they have very long roots that go deep inside the soil in search of water. Okay, and the second one, that was they have thick and fleshy stems. They store water in the stem. So this type of the plant store water in the stem. Okay, next one, they do not have leaves, they have thorns. This reduced loss of water. In the desert plants, they do not have leaves, but they have what? They have thorns. which what do two things, that is reduce the loss of water, and secondly they discourage animals from eating it. Okay students, and the fifth point, that is, as the plants have no leaves, the stems of this plant prepare food for the plant. So leaves are not there, so what happens, the stem prepare food for the plant. Okay students, so please, if you want this main points to be write down, then write down that. Okay, here moving towards next. So here, next, that is plants that grow in the arid regions other than the desert have also developed various means of survival. Here the plants which are grown where there is no desert but there is less rainfall. So how they just survive? So here it is, plants in the Mediterranean areas which have dry summers have dash things. So here the plants which are at the Mediterranean area, how they just survive in the summer, and it is firstly it is have waxy or leathery leaves as seen in the citrus family. Okay, as seen in the citrus family. And also the second one, that is thick barks such as the oak, or the third one, that is long roots such as the grapes, okay. So these are the three adaptations where there is very low water or there is less rainfall in that area. So these are the three, that is waxy or leathery leaves as seen in the citral family, thick bark such as the oak or long roots such as the grape. So these are the three adaptations in the for the plants which are not in the desert but they have dry region. Okay students, now moving forward to the next point, that is animals of cold regions. Animals of cold regions. Here, first of all, if I say that animals in the cold region, what will strike in your mind? Can anybody tell me, students, what will be strike first? Animal. That is bear, polar bear. Okay. In many of the movies we have seen in the cold region, the polar bears and also some kinds of the goods which have many of the furs over the body. So what the fur do is they just protect them from the cold. Okay students, now starting the animals of the cold regions. Animals of the cold region. Okay, animals of the cold regions. Here, the first they have categorized, that is animals on high mountains. Animals on high mountains. Here, animals in the cold region means in the high mountains the temperature is comparatively low than the surface. Okay, so what happens here? There is cold. So how they have in the high mountain they have adapted themselves. First of all, high mountains are there, so their legs grip should be better. Okay, the grip of the legs should be better. Why? Because in the mountains there is slopes. So what happens in the slopes? It can be slip and just go inside to any of the thing. So their legs grip should be better. Okay, and then after it will be not that much comparatively cold, but it will be cold. So they have furs outside their body which protect them from the cold. Okay, so let us see one by one all the adaptations. That is the first adaptation. Animals that live in very cold region have body covered with thick fur to protect them from the cold. Okay, so here the animals which live in the cold region, what they have fur which protect them from the cold. So here I am writing the first point, that is they have thick fur to protect them from the cold. Okay. Secondly, that is they have a thick layer of fat below the skin for further protections. Here they also have what they have fats inside the body. So what happens? They also just protect them from the cold and keeps their body warm. Okay, so that is second point. That is they have a thick layer of fat below the skin for further protection for further protection. Here they have a layer of fat inside the skin, so what they just do, the food which is there outside the body, they just protect them from the cold, and the fat which is inside the skin, they keep their body warm. Okay students, so for that the fat layer is, thick fat layer is there over it. Then after third, that is animals that live on high mountains are sure-footed. They jump from rock to another without sleeping. Here, as I have said earlier, that the rocks are there, they just jump from one to the another. So they just don't get slipped. So for that they have a leg. How they have, that is sure-foot. Here the third adaptation, that is animals that live on high mountains are sure-footed. Okay, sure-footed. So they jump from one rock to the another without sleeping. The llama, vicuna, and alpaca in the south of America, the mountain goats of the Himalayas, the chiru antelope of Tibet, and the chamois antelope of the Alps are all sure-footed animals. Okay, and here fourth, that is the yak is the best of the beast of the burden in the Tibet. It provides milk and meat for protection in the Himalayan cold. The yak has thick long hairs. Cows and buffalo cannot survive such cold. Here they what just do is, in the Himalayas and there the yak just provides what, milk and meat, but where buffaloes and cow cannot survive. Okay, for that they use the milk of yak and that all. So the chiru and the Pashima goat of Kashmir have wool that is soft and warm. This has the animals adapted themselves on the cold on the mountains. Here talking about the Kashmir, here Pashimana, a type of goat, it is there. They just can survive over the cold over there, and here you can see the picture is given. See here how the food is there outside their body. Now further we will see in the next video. So in your homework what you just do is, homework, write adaptations of, first we have seen was desert plants and secondly animals on high mountains. Animals on high mountains. Okay, animals on high mountains. Okay students, now we will meet in the next video. Okay, bye students.